Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I want to be talking about my week number 5 tight end start or sit decisions for fantasy football in 2021. Inside today's video, I'm going to be going in depth into every single matchup from Thursday Night Football all the way until Monday Night Football, and I'll be telling you guys whether I believe you should start or sit the notable tight ends in every single game. But before we get on into things, I would like to ask, if you are new to my channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 fantasy football championship. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure you do hit that like button down below to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. I'd also like to ask that if you guys are on Twitter and would like to follow me, to please do so at NotoriousFNTSY. The link to my Twitter is also down below in the description of the video. So without further ado, let's get into things. We begin with the tight end start sits of the Rams at the Seattle Seahawks Thursday Night Football. In this game, I like Tyler Higbee as a start. Now, Tyler Higbee has been on kind of a rocky road thus far this season. He hasn't been uber consistent, but if there is one thing that is true about the LA Rams, is that they are very good and very proficient at scoring points. Except for last week, because for some reason Sean McVay kind of tried to play it a little bit too safe, tried to be a little too cute, and kept kicking field goals instead of going for it, and they ultimately got shit canned by the Arizona Cardinals. But in this game, I highly doubt Sean McVay is going to make the same mistake. He's going to put the pedal to the metal. I believe this could have the potential to be one of the highest scoring games on the week between the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. These are two teams with very solid offenses. I think Tyler Higbee could have a very big game this week, hinged on the fact that hopefully he ends up finding his way into the end zone. For the Seattle Seahawks right now, it's pretty uncertain if Gerald Everett is going to end up suiting up for the team or not. If he does end up playing, you really are hoping for that touchdown, and if that does not end up happening up against the LA Rams, then you're going to be very disappointed. So I'm probably just going to sit down Gerald Everett whether he is healthy or not. Same thing goes with Will Dissly. If Gerald Everett is healthy, there's no way in hell you should be playing Will Dissly, but if Gerald Everett is out, I'm still probably not going to be playing Will Dissly, so they're both going to be listed as a sit on the Thursday Night Football game. Next up, we move to London for some Sunday morning football. Jets at the Atlanta Falcons. Can't wait to wake up at 9 in the morning to watch the Jumbo Jets go up against the Atlanta Falcons. In this game, I will be starting up Kyle Pitts. Now, Kyle Pitts hasn't been a complete and utter bust. He just hasn't lived up to the sky-high expectations that everyone kind of plastered onto him. There's a reason why he had the sky-high expectations, though, right? Because Julio Jones is gone. Now Kyle Pitts has the opportunity to slot into the number 2 target spot on the team. He's on the Falcons. Matt Ryan didn't necessarily look bad the last couple of years. Kyle Pitts is also a freak fucking athlete. He was drafted super highly in the NFL draft instead of the Falcons drafting a quarterback, and people were comparing this guy to Calvin Johnson, to Megatron. So there's a big reason why he got all of that hype up, why people are getting down on their knees to suck off Kyle Pitts for fantasy football, and he has not lived up to that. But if there was ever going to be a game where Kyle Pitts slaps up a defense, it would be up against the Jumbo Jets in London. I like Kyle Pitts a ton this week. For the Jets, they have a couple of tight ends that they use, and none of them are fantasy relevant. Ryan Griffin will be sitting down on the bench in this game. Hayden Hurst as well for the Atlanta Falcons will be a sit for me. Next up, we move to the real Sunday slate at 1 p.m. The Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. In this one, I like TJ Hawkinson. To me, it doesn't really matter how bad TJ Hawkinson has kind of performed as of recently. Now, he hasn't been a complete and utter shitty tight end, but in the last 2 weeks, he has not been anywhere near as good as he was in week number 1 and 2. But at the end of the day, TJ Hawkinson to me is still the number 1 target in Detroit. It doesn't really matter what defense he is going up against either, because he is such a key piece in this offense for the Detroit Lions. So I think TJ Hawkinson has a big bounce back compared to the last 2 weeks this week up against the Minnesota Vikings. For the Vikings, I like Conklin this week to potentially find his way into the end zone, which will make him a start this week up against the Detroit Lions. Next up, we got the Washington football team going up against the New Orleans Saints in Washington. Washington football team tight end Logan Thomas is going to be out for at least the next couple of weeks, which means that Ricky Seals-Jones is back in the lineup as the number 1 tight end on the depth chart. Ricky Seals-Jones to me is not a start in this game until he really proves it to me, or until Taylor Heineke really proves that he loves throwing to a tight end that isn't named Logan Thomas, I just feel as though Ricky Seals-Jones is going to kind of fade into fantasy irrelevancy. For the Saints, they got Juwan Johnson, they got Adam Troutman. They don't throw the ball enough. They're just trying to run the ball too much with Mr. Alvin Kamara. While it does end up working to potentially get them a win week in and week out, it is not very helpful for fantasy football. If you have Jameis Winston, it's not even really that helpful for Alvin Kamara because he's not getting too many receptions for fantasy football. This Saints offense is so different this year without Drew Brees. It is very, very weird to see. And with that said, for the Saints, I'm sitting down both Troutman and Juwan Johnson. Next up, we got the New England Patriots at the Houston Texans. Now, in this game, you can almost want to start both of these tight ends because with how a lot of people are projecting this game, the Patriots are going to blow the back out of the Houston Texans. And while I agree that I believe they're going to win this game, I don't see the Patriots dropping 32 points. I don't see them dropping 40 points like the Buffalo Bills did last week up against the Houston Texans. I understand that the Houston Texans have a sorry-ass defense, but at the end of the day, the Patriots offense under Bill Belichick with Mac Jones under center, he doesn't really try to push the game. He doesn't try to put the pedal to the metal and just stomp on a team like the Houston Texans. He would rather just kind of put the game in cruise control and just drive to a 14-0 win or a 17-0 win, a very low-scoring game because he just doesn't give a fuck about hanging a bunch of points on a team. He just wants to make sure that Mac Jones doesn't make any costly decisions so that they can just win the game. To me, this game is very similar to the situation we had between the Patriots and the New York Football Jets early on in the year. When going up against the Jumbo Jets, everyone predicted, including myself, the Patriots, to absolutely bend them over a table, to absolutely shellac them in that game. But at the end of the day, sure, they did win the game, but it wasn't a complete and utter beatdown because Mac Jones wasn't able to uncork and throw these deep balls. He wasn't being given the opportunity to do that. They just kind of wanted to do these short dump-offs, run the ball with Damian Harris, and get out of there with the W. So while I think it is entirely possible that potentially Bill Belichick has some type of paradigm shift and wants to lay the pipe down to the Houston Texans, that is probably not the best bet. I think the Patriots win this game, but right now it seems like Hunter Henry is the main tight end on the team, so I do believe Hunter Henry has the best bet to score the tug, so I believe he is the better start out of him and Jonnu Smith up against the Houston Texans. So Jonnu Smith will be a sit, but if you are in a deeper league, there are far worse starts than Jonnu Smith. For the Texans, they have Pharaoh Brown, they have Jordan Atkins. To me, none of them are even fantasy relevant at all in this game. The Patriots defense isn't uber amazing, it isn't ultra amazing, but at the end of the day, how are the Texans going to be able to move the ball? Davis Mills absolutely stinks, so I don't think either of the tight ends have any type of fantasy value in this matchup. Next up, we move to the Miami Dolphins at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Tom Brady versus Jacoby Brissett. Now, if I know anything about Jacoby Brissett, from what I've seen the last couple of weeks after my boy Tua Tagovailoa went down for the Miami Dolphins, is that Jacoby Brissett sucks complete and utter cock at playing the quarterback position. Mike Gesicki is fine, though, because he just gets peppered with targets. He is getting force-fed the rock. So continue to start Mike Gesicki up against the Bucs defense. I think he has been on a roll the last couple of games. So not that I think he's been on a roll. I know he's been on a roll, and I believe and I do think that he is going to continue going on that roll here this week up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For the Bucs, it appears Rob Gronkowski is going to be out, so that leaves O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. Your best bet is probably to just sit both of them. I don't think one of them is clearly the guy over the other, and the Dolphins' pass defense isn't that bad, so I think O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate, you're really hoping for that touchdown, and there's a lot more tight ends that have a better chance at scoring than O.J. Howard or Cameron Brate, so I'm going to sit them down on the bench. Next up, we have a matchup between the Green Bay Packers at the Cincinnati Bengals. In this one, I'm willing to start Robert Tonyan. Now, Robert Tonyan is a tight end that every single week, unless he scores a touchdown, he is going to be a complete and utter bust because he's not a guy that's going to be seeing 5+ targets every single week. He's a guy that heavily relies on the fact that Aaron Rodgers just throws the ball his way in the end zone. And it does happen a ton because, hey, the Green Bay Packers, they have a great offense. They should be able to put up some points this week up against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. So I expect Robert Tonyan to be a start-worthy tight end on the week. For the Cincinnati Bengals, CJ Uzomah absolutely exploded Bukkake style all over the Jacksonville Jaguars defense last week, but I do not believe that will be the scenario this week up against the Green Bay Packers. I think they're able to easily shut him down. Next, we move to the Denver Broncos going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Heinz Field. If you guys have ended up enjoying this video so far, please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting the like button. I would appreciate it a ton. So we got Noah Fant as a start in this game, but he is kind of at the bottom of the barrel, because I don't know what the fuck is going to happen with Drew Lock under center going up against a ultra tough Steelers defense. The Steelers offense looks putrid. The Broncos offense may look absolutely atrocious with Drew Lock, but there's also that percent chance that Drew Lock ends up cooking in this game, because Drew Lock is a very momentum-based quarterback. To me, he's a lot like Jameis Winston. If he catches fire, then he's going to be amazing in this game. So if he gets the strokes in a little bit early, if he's playing well early on in the game, then you could expect Drew Lock to potentially have a huge matchup up against the Steelers. But if he starts things off slow, if things start to get a little bit bad his way, if he starts throwing like a pick at the beginning of the game, then this game will be a complete and utter wash for Noah Fant. So understand that with Drew Lock under center, at least based upon what we've seen thus far in Drew Lock's career, Noah Fant isn't this ultra great, ultra safe tight end, but he does have a lot of upside, considering if Drew Lock is to be able to have that big game, then Noah Fant could be a huge benefactor of that. For the Steelers, they have Eric Ebron, they have Pat Freiermuth as well. To me, it seems like Pat Freiermuth is getting more targets. Maybe that's not necessarily true based upon the stat sheet, but neither of them are really fantasy relevant considering how shit Big Ben looks out there. Next up, we got a matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Carolina Panthers. In this one, I like both of the Philadelphia Eagles tight ends. It just seems like Jalen Hurts loves to throw the ball to the tight end. Jalen Hurts loves those tight ends, and who of us doesn't love a nice tight end? So Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz are going to be starts. Zach Ertz is much more dependent on the touchdown when compared to Dallas Goedert, because Goedert is still the main tight end. He's still the head honcho on the team, but they do use a lot of two tight end sets. They do use a lot of Dallas Goedert as well as Zach Ertz, and in this matchup up against the Carolina Panthers, that could be relatively high scoring if the Eagles are able to catch up with Mono Man Sam and the Carolina Panthers offense. I like Goedert as well as Zach Ertz. I know I say his name wrong every single time. Pretty sure he's Dallas Goedert, so I do apologize to Mr. Goddard if he's watching this video, because I say his name wrong just about every single fucking time I say it. For the Panthers, I'm sitting down Ian Thomas. They also have Tommy Make That Ass Tremble. I don't believe either of them are start-worthy tight ends. Next up, we got the Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is a game that may be a complete and utter fucking massacre. The Jaguars may get skull-fucked. The Jaguars may get destroyed in this game, because it seems like Urban Meyer is just completely out of it at this point with everything that was happening with him, and no one should feel sorry about it because it's his fucking fault. He's the idiot who, instead of, I'm pretty sure his wife was like watching the grandkids and he went out to go fucking finger blast some chick at the bar. I don't know what he's doing, but it is what it is. Anthony Ferkser is going to be a start for me in this game. The Jaguars defense just looks so bad. They did look good at the first half of the game last week up against the Cincinnati Bengals, but I feel like the Bengals figured it out. I think the Titans will figure it out. Hopefully Julio or AJ Brown is in this game. Otherwise, Derrick Henry might just run for 500 yards up against the Jaguars. I will be sitting down Dan Arnold in this game for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now we move to the Cleveland Browns going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. In this one, I like Jared Cook. Now, Jared Cook and Donald Parham last week for the LA Chargers went absolutely ham-bony up against the Las Vegas Raiders in that Monday Night Football game. Jared Cook is far from a reliable tight end, if I'm being honest with you guys at this point in the season, but in a game where I feel like the Chargers should be scoring a decent amount up against the Browns, I think Jared Cook is in for a solid slate. Austin Hooper, to me, I just don't trust Austin Hooper. I don't trust Baker Mayfield. Reports came out that he is banged up. That might be the reason why he's been playing and been so inaccurate the last couple of games, which worries me immensely if you're going to start a pass catcher on the Cleveland Browns. So I'm sitting down Austin Hooper this week. Next up, we got the Chicago Bears at the, turn your volume down, the Las Vegas Raiders in Viva Las Vegas. Darren Waller's a start in this game. Darren Waller's a start in every single game. I don't know what I have to describe to you to paint the picture Mona Lisa style for you to want to start Darren Waller. The reason why you start Darren Waller is because he's a fucking freak. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to spike the ball on the sideline and get a taunting penalty, and he's going to be the #1 target for the Raiders. I love Darren Waller every single week, and I love him this week up against the Chi-Town Bears. Even if Bill Fire the Lasers is going to be the play caller in this game, which I believe he will be up against the Raiders, Cole Kmet just has not carved out any ounce of use in this offense. Now, Could I be wrong? And the rest of the year, he's great. Sure, because I think he's a very talented tight end. But based upon what we've seen thus far in the season, I think it's a bad bet to throw Cole Kmet into your lineup. Next up, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. Double X, almost triple X Williams, Max Williams, is going to be a sit in this game. They just have so many options to throw the ball to in Arizona. They got D-Hop. They got AJ Green. They got Rondell Moore. They got Christian Kirk. They got Chase Edmonds. They got James Conner. They also have Max Williams. They have 7,000 guys to throw the ball to. Unless he scores a touchdown, he is going to be a very bad start this week. George Kittle meet Timbers. Did look a lot better last week. Seems like he's starting to actually get the targets. It appears that when Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, and George Kittle are all out there, that really does help George Kittle out a ton. I expect him to have a relatively solid game this week up against the Cardinals. Trey Lance is going to be the X factor. How much do they throw? How much do they target George Kittle? Sure, I understand that, but you're going to start George Kittle every single week, regardless of the quarterback. Next up, we move to a game between the Giants at the Dallas Cowboys, an NFC East matchup between a Giants team that finally won a game and the Dallas Cowboys that look like a fierce competitor inside of the NFC. Dalton Schultz, he's just on fire. Dalton Schultz clearly edged out Blake Jarwin. He is clearly the #1 tight end there, so fire up Dalton Schultz in this game on Sunday up against the New York Football Giants. For the Giants, I understand you could do worse than starting Evan Ingram, but there is just no way I'm going to start Evan Ingram, especially if there is talks of Slayton and Shepard potentially playing. If just one of them plays, then Evan Ingram is knocked 7,000 pegs off and virtually stands no chance in getting a lot of target share inside this offense, so I'm not starting Evan Ingram in this game. Next up, we got the Sunday night football matchup between the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. In this game, I like Dawson Knox one time. If you are with me of the Buffalo Bills, just like with Dalton Schultz, this motherfucker is on fire. NBA Jam style. He is just on a touchdown killing spree, basically. Basically, every single game, this man is tiptoeing his way into the end zone. A couple of games ago, he hit the prom pose. Maybe that was last week with Josh Allen. Josh Allen and him are a combo like peanut butter and fucking jelly inside the red zone. I believe Dawson Knox has another big week in what could be an ultra high-scoring game up against the Chiefs. For the Chiefs, Travis Kelce, he's a start. You want to know why? Because he's Travis fucking Kelce. He could have a bad game every couple of weeks, but at the end of the day, he's still one of the most reliable tight ends in fantasy football, and like I said, this should be a high-scoring game, which uses a heavy dosage of Travis Kelce. Final game here, we got Monday Night Football between the Indianapolis Colts at the Baltimore Ravens. We've seen the Baltimore Ravens on prime time just about as much as possible. They are the team that's played on prime time the most, I believe, thus far this season. They get the maximum 5 games on the season, so we're to see some Lamar Jackson more this season, which is great. I don't mind watching the Ravens every single week on prime time. They're a very fun team, but what's not fun is watching the Ravens absolutely bumfuck the Indianapolis Colts. Mo Alley Cox will be a start this week because he does appear to be more in favor than Jack Doyle in this Colts offense, and maybe Carson Wentz now isn't as hurt, and that will help Mo Alley Cox out a ton. For the Ravens, Mark Andrews, he's a start every single week as well. He's on one of the most high-powered offenses in the National Football League. Sure, the Ravens' high-powered offense is headed by the rushing attack, but on any given week, Mark Andrews could have like 7 targets for 7 receptions, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Mr. Lamar Jackson has also looked a lot better passing this season. He's been throwing the ball further down the field as well than he ever has in his NFL career, so I like Mark Andrews this week up against a not-so-hot Colts defense, and we saw Mike Gesicki light the Colts defense up last week, which should be a positive sign for Mr. Mark Andrews. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you do hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 Fantasy Football Championship. We may be back later with another video, and if there's not another video later, don't fret, because guess what is coming later? We got Thursday Night Football live stream, live before the game, either starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will post it like an hour beforehand so that you guys will know the exact timing. I may go live a little bit earlier because I do want to set all my DFS lineups and not fucking stress out while I'm on the stream, sweating fucking beads, getting a red face out there when I'm trying to set my lineups, because it takes much longer when I put in a bunch of lineups. So good luck with everyone in tonight's game. I love you guys so much. I hope you do have a great rest of your guys' day, and as always, good boy.